Hey everyone, have you ever wondered about enums, especially in Java? So this tutorial will be about that concept. So I'm using Eclipse and I'm going to create an enum class called organizations. So let's say in your database you had many organizations, like let's take some tech companies, Microsoft. So what you do is just type it out, comma, and then add in another one. So let's use Google, let's use Apple. And so you basically type them out, and if that's all you do, you don't need to put the semicolon, which is normal for termination in Java. So as you see, there's no errors given. But we're going to expand our enum, and we're going to add three different methods to the enum. One will return an integer, well, its primitive, the int, and it's going to be get organization ID. I'm assuming in your database you're going to have an ID for each organization. So hey, why not have it? We're putting the abstract name in, as part of the signature so that every single enum needs to implement their own version of get organization ID. And it basically reinforces the concept. As you saw, I put a semicolon. So using Eclipse, you can use the menu and basically override slash implement methods. So yeah, right there. And as you saw, get organization ID is already selected. So press OK. Boop. Eclipse auto generates everything for you. That comment was useless. So the organization ID for Microsoft is 1000. It's obviously just an example. And you see the override, so it overrides the abstract get organization ID. So we're just going to copy the code and paste it to every single enum, but we're going to change the ID. So Google will be ID 1001. Apple will be 1002. Oracle, hey, 1003. And Qualcomm will follow suit with 1004. So while normally you would get these values from the database, this is more of an example of what you could do without accessing the database. There's clear problems of data changing, but I mean, an ID doesn't necessarily change that often. So now the second method we're going to implement. All these tech companies usually are in the West Coast, at least these. And we're going to create a method, a Boolean. It's going to return a Boolean. Is in California. And by default, it will return false. Notice I didn't put abstract. That's because if you call is in California and the particular enum does not have is in California already defined, overriding it, it will return a false. Now, maybe we should have put return true because 4 out of the 5 enums are actually in California. But now, normally in your database, you would have a lot more organizations, and the likelihood is that you would not, most of the companies would not be in California. But our example doesn't say that. So I'm just going to copy and paste. Is in California only for the organizations that are in California. So Google, Apple, Oracle, and Qualcomm all get this wonderful method called is in California. Microsoft does not. And let's define another method. It's going to be pre-processing. If you use web services and people are submitting data, you might get data from different sources and they might not meet your spec. Maybe some people, they always send a date of birth instead of age. Some other people send an age. In the pre-processing method, you could actually define or massage the information so that everything is standard. I'm not going to do that right now in this example. What we're just going to do is define a system out message just so as proof of concept. You could easily add parameters to each method. So public void pre-processing is not abstract, so not all of them need to implement it. So we're going to system out a message. I'm just going to type something very random. Insert pre-processing logic here, Microsoft. Bang. So now whenever the Microsoft Enum this method within the Microsoft Enum is called, it will echo out or system out the insert preprocessing logic here, Microsoft. And if it's any of the other enums, it will be default preprocessing if not contained within enum. Simple enough. And let's not forget the override. Okay, so let's put this into practice. So I'm going to create a class called test that organization enum. Very creative. I will want to have a main. So just click that. I just remove all the comments, the Java docs. All right. So this is where normally you would retrieve from the database values. But for our example, I'm just going to actually hard code a string, an organization. So org from database. And we're going to assign it Microsoft. Sweet. So now let's call the organization's enum that we created. So let's type out organizations. So now org enum will take whatever we pass in. So organization dot, and enums come with some default methods, and one of them is value of, which takes a string. So we pass in the string that we created, org from database, and we basically get the value of it, which is an enum. So now org enum is the Microsoft enum. So let's do some system out so you can see exactly what it would look like. So let's get the organization ID, and then let's check if it's in California. And lastly, let's do a pre-processing. Now, we're not going to put the pre-processing within system out because it's already a system out in our example. So now let's just run this code. Voila. See? 1000, which is our organization ID. It's in California. That's false. And then the insert pre-processing logic here, Microsoft, which is what we define within our enum. Now, 1000 false and insert pre-processing logic here, Microsoft doesn't really mean anything, so we're going to add some little labels to it. Nothing too fancy. Everything in the system out. Obviously, within a larger program, you would do a lot more than this, but so is in California. Save this and let's run it again. Voila. Organization ID 1000 is in California. False. Insert blah blah blah. So instead of Microsoft, we're going to switch it up and do Oracle. So we're not changing anything of the code except for the actual value of the org from database Oracle. Let's rerun it. See? Organization ID changed. 1003 is in California. True. And the default pre-processing if not contained within Enum, as you can see right there. So we switch back to our organization's Enum class. So just so you can see a little bit more detail, it would be helpful if we knew exactly which org from database it was. So we're just going to do the org enum with a default method called name, which returns a string. Save that and rerun it. And voila, Oracle. So as you can see, 1003 returns true. Very simple, very powerful. So now we are going to basically override the pre-processing method for Oracle. We're going to do a system out, and we're going to try to come up with something very, very clever for the message. And it will be something very true. So Oracle is the proud owner of Java. Let's save this. Let's rerun the test. Voila. So it changed the pre-processing message to Oracle, the proud owner of Java. Thank you.